Hey, it's Tara, your yoga bestie. And we've got a fun class today where we will be utilizing 2 blocks. That is only for one portion, so if you don't have them, no big deal. You can still get a lot of benefit out of what we're using them for. But if you have them, great. Otherwise, yeah, let's go ahead and start out in any position that feels right for you today. So seated, child's pose, reclined, whatever's calling your name and allows you to really check in with your breath. We'll make our way into our space, just kind of wiggling into it to feel settled in. And then let's start tapping into our ujjayi breath as we inhale and exhale through the nose, letting go of any thoughts or worries and just using this time to prepare our mind for our practice. Our ujjayi breath is an audible breath, so you're gonna hear a snoring-like sound in the back of the throat, kind of like you're fogging up a mirror with your nose. And see if you can create a rhythm where you inhale and exhale to the count of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. And just know that that breath will fluctuate throughout the practice, but you want to start out with a really solid foundation so that you can tap into that breath throughout as we bring in movement. While you're tuning into your breath, we've been talking about the chakras in my class. We're currently in the 7th chakra, or the crown chakra. And the focus of the crown chakra, not only is it located at the top of the head, but this chakra is about spiritual connection, clarity, and surrendering. It's about trusting that we're part of something that is bigger than ourselves. So there's a very big spiritual side to this chakra. It's associated with the color violet or white or light itself. And you might imagine that light is pouring in thought into the crown of your head. So you might just envision that light coming through the crown of the head. The affirmation that I have for you that goes along with our 7th chakra, our crown chakra, is I surrender to the power of the universe. So you might inhale the words, I surrender, and exhale to the power of the universe. And the reason I think that this affirmation is so amazing is that we can act like we're in control of all these things, but at some point we just have to let it go and allow something bigger than ourselves to take over. If you are like me and you need the pep talk where you've done all the work, you've done all the things, you can't control anymore, you just need to sit back and know that that's going to happen. And the more that we can allow ourselves to surrender, which is not easy, the more that the universe provides for us, particularly if we're having fun with whatever we're doing. So again, that's I surrender to the power of the universe. On your next inhale, let's find some movement. So you might take a full body stretch if you're on your back, maybe find some movements with coming into some spinal rotations if you're seated, or walking the hands from side to side if you're in child's pose. But we'll all meet in a seated position where we'll bring our hands together at our heart center in our Anjali Mudra as we set our intention for our practice today, which might be using our affirmation that I surrender to the power of the universe, or whatever else comes to mind that speaks to you in this moment. Please honor that. And let's take a big breath in here. Exhale, let it go. All right, we'll move onto our hands and knees, so we can just walk it forward, spreading through the fingers nice and wide. We might find some cat-cow movement or some lateral movement here. And then just go ahead and bring your knees slightly back, so your hips are going to start to lower a little bit, because we're inhaling as we come all the way onto our bellies, bringing the chest in between the hands, forehead lowers. And then as we exhale, we're going to push that away, rounding the upper back like cat pose, all the way to our child's. And so just find a rhythm that works for you, inhaling as you come all the way forward, exhaling as you push all the way back. And the next time that you come onto your belly, go ahead and hold it here. We're going to bend our right leg, and we're going to place that foot to the outside of our left leg, so that brings us to an upright seated position. So we might be coming off of our mat, which is okay. And then we twist towards the right. So you might hug this knee in, or you can use your elbow as leverage, working those shoulders down as you lengthen through the crown of the head. Inhale. Exhale, belly button draws into spine as you go a little bit deeper into your twist. Full breath in. Exhale. And then twist the other direction. We're setting up for wild things. So left hand comes to the outside of that leg. As we reach the right arm up, we come onto the ball of that foot. where we can hold or we can start to create some movement here, like making circles with the arm, bending and straightening the legs. As we inhale, we'll reach it up. Gaze could be up. And then as we exhale, gaze towards the front. Step that right foot forward, so now you're back on your mat if you came off of it a little bit. And maybe you have your blocks here. As we start to shift forward and back from our runners to a pyramid-like pose, just kind of opening up in the backs of the legs here. Feel free to lower that back knee down for any of it, for all of it. Feel free to linger anywhere if that feels good in your body, or you need a little bit more time, some in a space. Yeah, the next time that we shift it forward, go ahead and plant your hands and we'll come into our one-legged down dog. So bringing that right leg back, you can open up the hip right away, heel to behind, knee up towards the ceiling. Stay or start to make some circles going in one direction, going in the other direction. And then we'll inhale, reaching that leg back. As we exhale, we do what I call a ninja kick. So we're gonna kick towards the left, hovering our behind as we bring that left hand towards our chest. So yeah, it's a big old movement here. Big inhale. Exhale, lower the knees down, coming into our thread the needle. So we reach that left arm up, stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. And then we're tucking that arm underneath as we bring our left ear or temple onto the mat. And feel free to stay here, or you can walk those fingertips forward. Maybe bring the arm behind your back, or any other additions that you like to bring into this pose. One more breath in. Exhale, slide that right hand underneath your shoulder and stay low because we're just gonna reach for our left heel with our left hand, coming into half camel. So lifting those hips up, reaching that right arm overhead as we either gaze up or we could gaze at our back foot. Big breath in. Exhale, gaze straight ahead. Step your right foot forward, coming into a runner's lunge. And we can bring our hands down because we're just gonna come into a seat. So bring that left leg behind. And we're gonna extend through the left leg as we come into this figure four shape. So we can have our ankle above the knee. This is one option. We are gonna be playing with lotus today. And when I mean we, I mean maybe you, maybe not. So I'm gonna offer it up, but I want you to be very mindful of how that shows up in your body. If it doesn't feel good or it's not working, just stay in the figure four. You can always walk your hands forward from here. You might bring the side of your foot to that inner thigh crease right here as you bring that knee down, which might be plenty having the half lotus, where you can bring this left leg into, or if you want to move into the full variation, working the side of your left foot to that hip crease right there. Once you find your seated position, just bringing the hands onto the knees, lengthening through the crown of the head, drawing that chin in towards your chest, and just taking a few moments to breathe into this space. Big inhale. Exhale. And then we'll let that go. So we'll release those. And our two blocks we're going to take with us as we come onto our backs. The first block, we're going to take long ways in between our heel and what I like to call our foot, which is our thigh butt. And then we're taking the other block to where it's going to be horizontal, and we're going to place our arm onto it horizontally to hold it into place. We're going to reach our right arm and leg up, and then find a little bit of a lift so that you feel that engagement, you feel your cheek at the same time working. And then keeping that lift, we're going to extend our arm and leg out to a hover. Exhale, bring it to center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Nice. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that right foot down. Take the block that's on your thigh, but keep the other one there. You're going to roll to your side, so you're using this as your little pillow. And you bring your arms to your side, and then we're just bringing that knee in towards our chest, and then we're bringing that leg back. Trying not to move anything but this leg. One more of these. Yeah, and then we can remove that. We'll come back upright, can place our blocks to another space so that they're available to us. And then we'll come on to our hands and knees. We can bring those knees back, just like we did a moment ago, coming onto our belly as we set up for our second side. So once we're on our bellies, go ahead and bend that left leg, bring that foot to the outside of the right leg. We come all the way into that upright seated position, and we twist towards the left, either hugging that knee in or using our elbow as leverage. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll switch directions for wild things. So right hand comes to the outside of that thigh. Left arm reaches up as we come onto the ball of that foot, maybe finding some movement here. As we inhale, we'll reach up. Exhale, gaze forward. Step that left foot forward into our runner's lunge. And we might have those blocks again to each side of the foot as we shift forward and back from runners to our pyramid pose. Again, listening to what you need, because both sides have their own personality, don't they? They are not the same. Sometimes one has more of a personality than the other, and they just decide to switch it up. Next time that we shift it forward, go ahead and plant the hands, one-legged down dog. So opening up that hip heel behind me up towards the ceiling. We stay, or we can start to make those circles going in one direction, going in the other direction. And then we inhale, straightening that leg. Exhale, we're doing our little ninja kick. So we're kicking towards the right. Our right hand comes to our chest as we hover that behind. Big breath here. And then we exhale, lowering those knees down. Inhale, right arm reaches up, stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. Exhale, thread it through for our thread the needle, where we have the same options as before. But again, one side might like different things than the other side. Totally cool. One more breath in. Exhale, bringing that left hand underneath the shoulder. We'll stay low as we reach for our heel with our right hand. Half camel as we lift up those hips. Left arm reaches up. We can either gaze up or we can gaze towards that back foot. One more breath in. Exhale, gaze straight ahead. And then step that left foot forward. We can bring ourselves down because we're going to move right onto our seat. So bringing that right knee behind the left as we come onto our seat. And we're moving into our figure four by having that left ankle above the knee. Or we're moving into our half lotus where we'll bring that side of the foot to the inner thigh. Maybe bring this leg in. Or we can move into our full lotus. So yogi's choice. Listen to what your body needs. If your knees are really high up when you go into this, that's an indication they're probably not very happy. So please do not do this if it doesn't work for you today. Take one more big breath in. Exhale. And then we'll release those legs and we'll bring our blocks with us as we come on to our backs again. So this time we'll take that long end where we bring it back to in between the heel and our foot. And then we take our block to where it's horizontal, arm is horizontal onto it. And then we bring that left arm and leg up, finding a little bit of lift here so you're to feel that engagement. And then as we inhale, we extend. Exhale, bring it to center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Yeah, we're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice. We'll bring that foot down. It's our pillow for our left ear or temple. We're keeping that block there as we bring it in, knee to in chest, and then we reach it back. And it doesn't have to be fast, but it does need to be intentional. Trying to smile so I don't show my facial expression that would come otherwise doing this. Really nice. One more of these. And then we'll let that go. Probably a nice relief for your asana, right? And then we'll make our way upright. And let's make our way into our first down dog of the practice. So can bring our hands forward as we step it back. Warming up in this first down dog, we may be bicycling the legs or bending the knees and moving the hips from side to side, just saying hello to your body. And then we'll bend our knees as we gaze forward. Let's step or float to the front. We'll inhale, lengthening halfway. Exhale into our forward fold. From here, we'll reverse all the way up, reaching up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we step it or float it back. Lowering or hovering. Inhaling into your cobra or your up dog. And we'll exhale into our down dog. Full breath in. Exhale, softening the knees. We gaze forward as we step or float. Inhale, lengthening. Exhale, forward. Let's reverse. Reach it up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, we lengthen. Hands plant as we step or float back. Lowering or hovering. Inhale into your cobra or your up dog. Exhale, down dog. Big breath in. Exhale. Softening the knees, we'll gaze forward as we step or float to the front. Inhale, we lengthen. Exhale, forward. One more, we'll reverse, reaching it up and back. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the palms, gaze stays forward as we step or float back. Lowering or hovering. Inhale and exhale. All right, so from here, maybe find a little bit of a break. That concludes our warm-up. And if you're new to my class, then that might sound shocking. If you're not, you know it's because all of those poses that we did in the warm-up are going to be included into our two main sequences. I like to break my sequences up into two main sections that I call peanut butter and jelly. So I use the peanut butter and jelly method, where peanut butter, we go through a little bit slower, maybe with some detours, and then we repeat it 2 more times, about breath pace. Jelly, we do it the exact same way, and then at the end, we bring these two together for one long, delicious peanut butter and jelly sequence sandwich, which is my favorite part of the practice. And it's yours too, because that means it's the end. Yeah, that's why it's your favorite, most likely. All right, so we're gonna start out in our down dog today, but first off, let's check in with our affirmation. Or maybe we go to down dog and start to do it. So inhaling, I surrender. Exhale to the power of the universe. I surrender to the power of the universe. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we're kicking it to the left for that little ninja kick as we hover the behind and bring that hand to our chest. And then we lower those knees down as we inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhale, thread it through. Taking a full breath in here. Exhale. And then right hand underneath the shoulder. We stay low as we reach for that heel with our left hand, and then we lift those hips up for our half camel pose. Big breath in. Exhale, we'll gaze forward. We step the right foot forward, coming into our revolved half moon. So we'll have our block here if we like. As we lift up that left leg, we might have our hand to the small of our back as we twist towards the right. And feel free to add on here. Sometimes it's nice to bend that leg, reaching for the foot or ankle. Maybe coming into your revolved dancer's pose here, if that feels right for your practice. And personally, I think it's a little bit easier, just saying. But if you don't, no big deal. Maybe you have your hand onto the small of your back as you lead with that shoulder and elbow to twist. Full breath in. As we exhale, step it back. Ground down through your back foot as we come into our reverse warrior. So nice wide stance, hips are square to that long edge of the mat as we reach up and over. Inhale. As we exhale, we gaze towards our back foot and we pivot our toes to the back as we come into our runner's lunge. And that's what we've got for our peanut butter. We go right to the other side, so extend that left leg all the way up towards the ceiling. Exhale, we kick to the right for our ninja kick. Big breath in. Exhale, lower those knees. Inhale, right arm reaches up. Exhale, thread it through. Full breath in. Exhale, slide that hand underneath your shoulder. Stay low as you reach for that right heel with your right hand. And then hips lift for our half camel pose. As you exhale, gaze forward. Maybe have your block there for you. As you step the left foot forward, you can bring that block to the inside as you come into our revolved half moon. So twisting towards the left, or maybe you come right into that revolved dancer's pose. Big breath in. As we exhale, step it back, ground down through that foot, and we open it up the other direction for our reverse warrior. Keep softening that knee as you breathe along that left side body. Inhale. Exhale, gaze towards your back foot. Pivot your toes towards the front of your mat. Runner's lunge, and we'll start to pick up the pace where we start to move one breath, one posture. So we inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, kick towards the left, ninja kick. Knees then lower as we inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhale, we thread it through. Slide that hand back. We inhale, reaching for the left heel as the right arm reaches up. Exhale, we gaze forward. Step that right foot forward as we come into our revolved half moon, twisting towards the right. Exhale, step it back, ground down as we inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, gaze towards your back foot. Pivot your toes to the back, and we inhale, one-legged down dog. Exhale, we kick it to the right for that ninja kick, and then knees lower. Inhale, right arm reaches. Exhale, we thread it through. Big breath here. Exhale, slide it back, and then right hand reaches for heel as left arm reaches up for our half camel pose. Exhale, gaze forward. Left foot steps forward as we come into our revolved half moon, twisting towards the left side. Exhale, step it back and ground down as we inhale, reverse. Exhale, gaze to the back. Pivot to the front as we move into our one-legged down dog. Exhale, we kick it and bring those knees down as we inhale, left arm reaches. Exhale, thread it through. Inhale, reach for the left heel as right arm reaches up overhead, half camel. Exhale, gaze forward, right foot comes forward. Exhale, step it back and ground down as we inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, gaze it back. Pivot it to the back. And we have our one-legged down dog as we inhale. Exhale, ninja kick towards the right. And then knees lower as we inhale, right arm reaches up. Exhale, we thread it through. Right hand reaches for the heel, and then we go right into our revolved half moon. And then we step it back as we ground down, inhale into the reverse. Exhale, gaze towards your back foot, and we pivot all toes towards the front and come into our down dog, which is our peanut butter section today. How are we feeling? I hope amazing. So we're gonna meet in our forward fold at the front of our mat. Feel free to come into as wide of a stance as you like, letting your head relax, shaking it out, and checking in with your breath as you come into this space. I surrender to the power of the universe. From here, we'll lengthen halfway, and then we'll plant our hands as we step it back into our plank pose, where we're gonna lower all the way onto our bellies. Onto our bellies for jellies. Right leg bends, and we'll bring that foot to the outside of the leg as we come up to our upright seated position. We twist, full breath in. Exhale, And then we go the other direction for that wild thing. So inhale, coming onto the ball of that foot. And then as we exhale, step that foot forward as we slightly step in that back foot so that we come into our revolved triangle pose. So great time to have that block again. Really lengthening through the crown of the head as you reach it forward. Exhale, belly button draws into the spine as we go deeper into our twist. Full breath in. Exhale. And then you might just switch out hands, bringing the right hand down because we're coming into our regular half moon as we open up to the other direction. Stacking shoulder on top of shoulder, really flexing through that left foot. Inhale. And then as we exhale, left hand lowers. Left knee comes behind the right knee as we come all the way onto our seat. And we find our figure four. So again, we might stay here. We might come into our half lotus. And as you get warmer, if you feel like you were kind of close, you might check it out again just to see what happens. No force though, maybe coming into your full lotus pose. And feel free to just check in with your breath, maybe close your eyes, or I'm going to offer you one detour with this. You can come into kind of a crow pose variation or arm balance from lotus legs. So you can walk your hands forward and make chaturanga arms as you lift up and maybe even release those legs and come into down dog. Just an option. If it doesn't feel right to you, don't worry about it. Just stay here and be in a more meditative state, which is really what our 7th chakra is about, right? So from here, we'll release our legs. We'll come forward as we come onto our bellies. And we set up for our second side. So we'll go ahead and lift up that left leg, taking that foot to the outside of the right as we come into our seated twist. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we go the other direction as we come into our wild thing. Inhale, lift. Exhale, gaze forward as we step that foot forward. And we hop it in so that we can come into that revolved triangle pose. So really lengthening through the crown of the head as you inhale. Exhale, belly button to spine as you go deeper into your twist. Inhale. Exhale, twist. And then we can switch out hands for our half moon as we open it up the other direction. Lifting up that right arm and leg. Flexing through that foot like you're placing a footprint on the space behind you. Inhale. And then as we exhale, right hand comes down, the right knee comes behind the left as we come into our seated position. And we move into that figure four shape, or half lotus, or full lotus. And you might notice, just like everything else, one side is a little bit more forgiving than the other side. Maybe we're playing with that arm balance where we can shift forward, using those chaturanga arms to lift up the legs, and then we might release those legs as we come into down dog. So yogi's choice. Love to give options. However, once we start to move through this a little bit quicker, we won't be adding on that part unless you just want to add it on. So take one more breath here. Exhale. And then we'll release the legs that come onto our bellies, however you want to get there, and we'll start to pick up the pace on this. So right leg bends as we take that foot to the outside, and we twist. We switch sides as we inhale into our wild thing. Exhale, step that right foot forward, and bring that back foot in as we come into our revolved triangle pose. And then right hand comes down as we inhale, opening it up to our half moon. Exhale, left knee comes behind the right as we come onto our seat, and we come into our figure four, or any variation of lotus pose that we want to come into. Big breath in. Exhale, and we'll release as we make our way onto our bellies. Left leg bends this time as we take it to the outside, seated, twist, to our wild thing. Exhale, step that left foot forward, hop the back foot in as we come into that revolved triangle pose. And then left hand lowers as we open it up to half moon. Big breath here. Exhale, right hand comes down, right knee comes behind the left. And we find our figure 4, or our half lotus, or our full lotus. Big breath in. Exhale. And then we release, coming on to our bellies, however you want to get there. Right leg bends as we take that foot to the outside. We exhale into our seated twist. Inhale, wild thing the other direction. Exhale, we step it forward. Inhale, revolve triangle pose. Exhale, bring that hand down. Inhale into your half moon. Exhale, left hand lowers, left knee behind as we come into our figure 4, or our half lotus, or our full lotus. Big breath in. Exhale, and we'll release, coming on to our bellies. From our bellies, left leg bends. We'll take it to the outside as we come into our upright seated position. Exhale. Inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step that foot forward and hop in the back so that we inhale into that revolved triangle pose. Exhale, bring that left hand down as we inhale, opening it up to our half moon. Exhale, right hand lowers, right knee comes behind, all the way to our seat, to our figure 4, or half lotus, or our full lotus. Big breath in. Exhale. How we doing? That's jelly, which means we've come to my favorite part of the practice. It's peanut butter and jelly time. Who's excited? Who's excited? We're all excited, right? So give yourself a pep talk. Get a drink of water, towel off, whatever you need to do. We're gonna meet in our down dog. Wheezing water bottle. And as we make our way there, I surrender to the power of the universe. I surrender to the power of the universe. Let's do this. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, we ninja kick towards the left. Lowering those knees, we inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhale, we thread it through. We'll stay low as we reach for that heel with our left hand. Right arm reaches up for our half camel. Exhale, we gaze it forward. Left foot steps forward as we come into that revolved half moon. And then as we exhale, step it back, ground down as we inhale into our reverse. Exhale and gaze towards your back foot. Pivot your toes to the back for your runner's lunge to plank pose, where we lower all the way onto our bellies. Right leg bends. We'll bring that foot to the outside of the leg as we twist. And then we switch directions so that we inhale into wild thing. Exhale, step it forward. Hop the back foot in as we come into our revolved triangle pose. Inhale. Exhale, bring that hand down, and then we inhale, opening it up into our half moon. Exhale, left hand lowers, left knee comes behind, and we find our figure 4 seated position, or our half or full lotus. Exhale. We make our way to down dog. Maybe we bring this back. All right, one more side. You've got this. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, we kick it to the right for our ninja kick. And then lowering those knees, we inhale, right arm reaches up. Exhale, we'll thread it through. We'll reach for our right heel as the left arm reaches up. And then we step that left foot forward as we come into that revolved half moon. Exhale, step it back and ground down as we inhale into our reverse warrior. Exhale, gaze towards the back foot, and we'll pivot to the front as we make our way into our plank pose and lower all the way onto our bellies. Left leg bends as we bring it to the outside of that leg, and we twist on our exhale. Switch sides as we inhale, wild thing. Exhale, step that left foot forward and hop that back foot in for our revolved triangle pose. Inhale. Exhale, lower that left hand. We inhale into our half moon. And then we exhale, right hand lowers, Right knee comes behind the left as we make our way into our figure 4 seat, or half lotus, or our full lotus, which means you did it. And if you played and you want to play one more time, feel free to do so as we make our way to down dog. But if you do, make your way back to seated and be so proud of yourself because you did amazing. We'll make our way into an easy seated pose. So Sukhasana, bringing ankle in front of ankle, just slowing the breath down. And we're going to tap into our alternate nostril breathing. So we're going to create our hang loose hands, where we close the right nostril, inhaling in through the left. Close the left, exhale out through the right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. Inhale left. Close, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. And just continue with this rhythm. And move through as many rounds as you like. It's a great way to balance both hemispheres of the brain, which gets us into the present moment for those times when we feel like there's no clarity there. Maybe that's because we just have brain fog, or we're feeling anxious or angry or fearful, sad, all the different places that we might be in. This is a great way to kind of connect with our present self. And if there's anything else that you need before coming into your final space, whether that's a reclined position, coming into Shavasana, or a seated position, just kind of staying in this meditative state, feel free to make your way to whatever feels right for you in this moment. And I want to encourage you to take up space on your mat, particularly if you're in a reclined space, because our practice is a reflection of our lives off the mat. So the idea is that if we take up space here, we take up space once we go out into the world, and come into this final pose with so much gratitude for showing up to your mat, so much gratitude for all the hard work that you put in, and gratitude for this feeling that you created. And be so proud of yourself because you did amazing. No, I'm so proud of you. And just allow the breath to be soft, the body to be still. Shavasana. As always, feel free to stay in this place as long as you need. But if you're ready, start to invite small movements, making your way to a fetal-like position if you're reclined. And just allowing yourself to seal in this practice. I surrender to the power of the universe. Take this feeling with you as you leave the mat. That is when our true yoga begins. We meet in a seated space with hands at heart center as we tuck our chin under. With gratitude, thank you so very much for joining me in class today. Look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.